Hail, hail, the Celts are here, and what the hell do we care anyway, guys? We knew we were going to go to the Signal Iduna Park and probably not pick up all 3 points, but to lose the game by 7 goals to 1, to see so many schoolboy errors on display. I know Celtic fans all over the world are leaving that match feeling dismayed, feeling disappointed, feeling let down. In the video today, we're going to break down the post-mortem of the goals we conceded, the tactical errors that we've seen in this match, with the usual kind of tactical board analysis that we do here on the channel, as well as finishing off with some player ratings, because this match definitely got away from us. We were definitely beat by the better opponent, but so many of what went against us was completely avoidable. I'm not accepting the whole difference in the budget and the difference in the talent and all that kind of stuff, because really, if we put our foot on the ball and we did some things differently, this game would have been completely different, even with the same squads. At any point in the video today, if you do laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. We're pushing for 10,000 subscribers, boys and girls, and we cannot do that without your support. And get into the comment section on this one and let me know what your big takeaways were from the Celtic Dortmund match, for better or for worse. And yeah, let's just get stuck straight into it. I think the best place to start off is with the starting lineups, because the Celtic team was quite predictable, and we kind of seen the foreshadow and the precursor to this in the St Johnstone match with Paulo Bernardo starting in midfield. But the Borussia Dortmund team was a little bit different to what we expected coming into this. They started Ryerson on the left, which brought Couto in on the right, which was two very quick, very agile wing-backs. But also Bino Gittins came in to start this one with Adeyemi on the right, which again, mirroring their full-backs, just elite electric pace in those forward areas. And then they're adding in the likes of Chan, Gross and Brandt for a bit of muscle and composure and some top-class execution, with Big Girassi as the target man. So it's not like it was a million miles away from the team we expected, but I do think this basic dynamic shift of only having two centre-backs with full-backs coming up a bit higher was an opportunity we had in this match. And I did feel like we sensed it, because the setup from Celtic was whenever they were trying to build out from the back, and they did it very deliberately, we were pressing them, we were jumping up here, we had the front three, and we would have Engels and we would have Bernardo up in their face, up in their half, which then brings McGregor to be in their half, quite high in their half as well, when they're trying to build out from the back, which then really does expose our defence to everything that really happened in this game, because Trusty, Scales, Taylor and Johnson have got to get up close to the halfway line to be compact and to not have any big gaps in between the team for quick play. But then what this does is it gives all the space in behind, and that is really where it was curtains for us, because we just seem to relentlessly do this at all stages of the match, push Engels and Bernardo up into the front line to try and make it difficult for them to play out from the back, try and, forward press Borussia Dortmund away from home. And every pass that cut us open, we'll look at it when we see the post-mortem for the goals, but it's a ball that comes along from any of these areas here, because the press is pretty mince. McGregor isn't involved in the press, he's not involved really in protecting the defence itself. He's just kind of in this no-man's zone the entire time. And then we're just getting balls pinged over the top of us for Adeyemi, for Brandt, for Bino Gittins to run onto, have us all turn facing our goal, and then it's battle stations, and, you kind of seen how everything else panned out. And again, this just further highlighted to me that Callum McGregor is not a defensive midfielder that can play as a single defensive midfielder like we've seen in this game in the Champions League. We've seen it for Scotland as well, in some extent, where people were thinking, oh, he plays better with Billy Gilmour. And it's like, no, well, Billy Gilmour actually just stays centrally and holds a good defensive position to cover some passing lanes and actually shield the defence. McGregor's attracted to the ball like a moth to the light. He always wants to be in and around where the ball is, which is fantastic, and that's great if that's your job and that's your role. But if you're the single pivot, if you're the single controller, the anchor in midfield, you don't have that freedom off the ball to go and roam around and join in the press, or try and recover it out and get on the ball in these little wide pockets. You need to be anchored into the middle of the pitch to make it harder for these players to come in and overlap into these areas here. So I didn't really see anything new from McGregor, sadly, than what we haven't seen already. But one player I was looking at with a lot of interest in this one was Taylor, because I think Taylor has went from strength to strength. He's came on leaps and bounds over the last couple of seasons, especially domestically. And I thought he was pretty terrible in this match, to be honest with you. He gave away so many passes. Physically, he just showed everything that we've seen from him, sadly, in the Champions League. But on a positive note for Taylor, if you do look at our goal actually comes from Taylor being on the right-hand side here with Kuhn and with Engels holding the wide space before the ball comes in for Daisen Maeda as a second striker to tap it in. And that felt like something that, you know, is very Celtic, is something that is well rehearsed, is well practiced, is well trained. And that kind of then leans into the idea of we go and play our game and we don't change, and, you know, we try and put our style at this level and see where we've came. And, you know, when you see that and when it quickly becomes one each again, there's like, okay, there's a wee bit of progress here, something we could watch out for. But ultimately, especially when you see Valley come on, like, I just really do feel Taylor now, the die has been cast in the wool. He's just not going to do it at this level for us. He has hit his ceiling, sadly. But I think for all Celtic fans, other than, you know, Taylor and McGregor, the midfield was something that we were all bearing witness to. Paulo Bernardo, or O Bernardo here as I've got him, I've said it a million times, he is not an attacking midfielder. He's not overly a defensive midfielder either. And I was really happy at the thought of him coming into this game alongside Engels and McGregor to give us a bit more solidarity, to give us a bit more strength in the middle. But the manager, the players, everyone abandoned that even being a strength that we could bring into this match, because Bernardo was so high. Like, so often in this match, Bernardo was higher than Daisen Maeda. And yes, that part of that is because Daisen recovers right back in, but he made so little effort to recover, and his positional sense was all over the place in this one, where he just allowed some massive gaps to form in our midfield where McGregor was becoming extra exposed. They did want to target us down the left, and they got so many opportunities to do so. And Engels was a wee bit MIA. Like, I don't really remember Engels doing much of anything in this one, but I would have expected Engels and Bernardo to be a lot closer to McGregor. Let's leave the front three to do a bit of a press, and let's leave them to be our outball for our counter-attack to get this game going. As the game state changes, the stuff that we tried to start this game with could have came out, you know, throughout the duration of the match where appropriate. But honestly, like, leaving these guys so far high up and getting them to support the front three was just absolute suicide ball. It really was. It was like watching amateurs in midfield, sincerely, because there was no one aware to the danger. No one was just saying, right, for 10 minutes, I'm just sticking to my man and making sure that we can disrupt their play. Maybe we can get on the ball a little bit more and make something happen. I would have much rather seen Engels, Bernardo getting much closer to McGregor, and then you just let McGregor continue to be himself. You get these guys to be a bit more disciplined and be a bit more switched on with, you know, their position. Make sure you don't give this guy space. Make sure you stay close enough to the back four. You're not too far away from the front three. And then you let McGregor maybe just go around a little bit and do that kind of job that he did anyway in this game. But he's got some bodies around him, he's got some protection, so if we are going to try and get him on the ball to knit the play and build up from the back and whatever, he's got support to do that. Otherwise, we just hung him out to dry just by saying, listen, you need to get off the back four, you then need to get through this midfield of Borussia Dortmund, and then if they don't, like, lose the ball back here, then fine, you've done a good job. But honestly, it was just absolute suicide ball. Kyogo barely got a kick. Kuhn looked okay. I think he really snatched at his chance that he had. I think he was just desperate to score in the game, being in German soil, you know, for the Champions League, German Youth International and all that caper. But I've got to say, to give away the penalty, we'll do the post-mortem on the goals in a second, right? But Schmeichel giving away the penalty and the third goal, and then not saving the other penalty, which was, I think, the fifth goal. Those were three things, three opportunities in the match for Kasper Schmeichel. And I know he still made like 6 or 7 saves in this game, still played pretty okay. But these were the moments I was hoping to see from him, where he wouldn't give away a penalty, or if we did get something bad against us, like the second penalty, which was really weak, you know, it could maybe come up with a big moment. The third goal that goes in, again, if that went in against Joe Hart or fucking Barkas or Craig Gordon or whatever, you're just like, okay, it's Celtic, here we go again. But we had much higher hopes for this guy, that kind of goal, like the third one, wouldn't have went in. Now, it does take a bit of a deflection off a trusty as Adeyemi shoots, and I think that's been kind of lost in the post-match or the post-mortem of it all. But still, there were 3 opportunities in this game, and if he doesn't give away the penalty, if maybe he does save the penalty and then the Adeyemi thing doesn't go in, we're looking at the score being like 2 or 3-1 for extended periods of this game, where we're maybe still in it, and maybe something could have happened, but we just never gave ourselves a chance to be in this one. The first goal was absolutely laughable. We've got an open state of play, and I must say, for the first 5 minutes, I thought we looked kind of tidy, you know, where we're trying to do the stuff that we do against St Johnstone and Hibs and Aberdeen and Rangers and all these other teams, and it was kind of like, you know, pretend they're not Borussia Dortmund, pretend it's not the Champions League, it's 11 men v 11 men, we are really good at doing our thing, go out and try and do it. But Bino Gittins gets so much time to get on the ball, Engels is nowhere near him, he manages to turn a full 360 and just runs all the way through this big gap between Trusty and Alistair Johnson. McGregor, of course, gets nowhere near. Just gets all the way into the box, and Schmeichel is committed, and he has to bring him down for the penalty. And you just felt after that the writing was going to be on the wall. Sadly, the keeper doesn't make it. Chan takes a really good penalty straight down the middle. But the second goal really highlights what I was talking about on the tactics board. They're playing out from the back. They're playing out from a goal kick from the goalkeeper position. And as they play the ball long, as you can see here, Bernardo, Engels, McGregor are nowhere to be seen in the picture, basically. McGregor is retreating facing his own goal, and I think that's Bernardo that's not too far in behind. But look at how high Scales has to be to confront Girassi. Look at the amount of space Julian Brandt is in. Look at the amount of space that Bino Gittins is in. Never mind the fact that Taylor has to cover in for Scales when he vacates that space to try and win the flick on with Girassi and be mindful of the run of Adeyemi. This is 10 minutes into the match. Look at all the space. I really can't highlight that enough. Girassi brings the ball down and within one touch gives it to Julian Brandt, who has the entire pitch to play. We now have Greg Taylor running shoulder to shoulder with Adeyemi, who's about to burst the offside trap. Scales is in their half. Trusty has got no idea what's going on. He's looking at Gittins. He's looking at the ball. Same with Alistair Johnson. They're doing the best that they can. But look at Scales. Look at Bernardo. Look at McGregor. And you really did feel at this exact moment the writing was on the wall. Brandt charges up the pitch. He plays the ball through for Adeyemi. And Adeyemi actually ends up on the other side of the pitch, coming into Austin Trusty's blind spot, absolutely mugging him off in terms of his body shape. Trusty has an opportunity where he maybe could wipe him out, maybe take a bit of a card for it. But, you know, Adeyemi's skill and his pace is just too much. And it's a wonderful goal. You've got to give him it. You know, it's a very good goal for them to score, but very, very avoidable. Now, the third goal, like I say, it comes from a corner. It takes a bit of a deflection off a Trusty. I do expect the keeper to go well. I really don't think there's much you can analyse on that or look back on it. It is just one of those things that maybe the defensive marking should have been a little bit better. But hey, great strike. Keeper was beaten in an area he really shouldn't have been. But then we come to the fourth goal. And again, Borussia Dortmund are on the ball. They are playing out from the back, but they've managed to get into our half. Look at the position of Bernardo. Look at the position of McGregor. Look at Engels. Again, their distance from the defence, they are facing the ball, all of them. Engels is on the half turn here a little bit, but Adeyemi has got acres of space around him. Julian Brandt is pushing the defence back to give more space into this zone here, in case Girassi, in case Ryerson, in case Bino Gittins are going to get on it. But the ball that comes from Pascal Gross is a long one right over the top. We see Dyson Maeda come all the way back into the back four to meet Jan Kuto. But there you can see who Julian Brandt, who was on the last shoulder of the defence, has managed to step off it because the whole defence has had to retreat. Adeyemi is still in acres of space and taking his time to pick up his position. McGregor, as you see, comes back into the picture. We've got both our centre-backs on the striker. Taylor and Maeda are faced up with the ball, unaware of Brandt on the edge of the box. And I don't know why McGregor doesn't stay with Adeyemi or get close to Brandt in this one. He goes to fill into a zone around that penalty spot in front of the defence to just have an extra body in there and to make it tight and compact. But the ball comes over. Adeyemi tries to bring it down. Engels is in a panic because he's now just coming into the picture and he's thinking, I'm going to try and win this ball. It's a rubbish penalty. It really should not have went against us. But again, it's just panic stations from one big diagonal pass because the midfield has no ability to track a runner. The midfield has no defensive instructions, has no defensive responsibility, really, it feels like, to deal with these situations. It's all on the defence, it's all on the goalkeeper. And when everyone's recovering, it's just do your best, get close to the ball, get close to your man. Now, they sink their penalty, and then from moments later, Pascal Gross is on the ball in this area here, and again, it's deja vu. Look at the midfield. Look at the space between the defence and midfield. Look where Adeyemi is. Look where Brandt is. Look at all these guys that just have acres of space around them. So many Celtic players staring at the ball. So many Celtic players not aware of, you know, what is about to happen. But again, we get that big long ball from Gross in over the space into Adeyemi. He then plays it into Brandt. Brandt then tries to play it into the box, and fair play to McGregor. He gets into that zone that he tried to earlier on, and he gets on the ball, and he plays a bit of a pass into Dyson Maeda. But look at the position here of Paulo Bernardo. He's shoulder to shoulder with Adeyemi, who's the key danger man. Celtic are still in their defensive 20 yards. We are still trying to get out from the back here. And if we're playing the ball into Dyson Maeda, there's one of two things we're going to try and do. We're either going to try and play a 1-2 with him and get him up and down the line, or he's going to give it to you and you need to switch, or you need to empty the ball long. The ball comes to Dyson. As we know, he has a bad first touch and loses the ball to Adeyemi. But look at how quickly Bernardo just goes nowhere. Why are you stepping off of Adeyemi to get in between Adeyemi and Chan? Daizen Maeda is not going to be able to pass it to you in that space right there. And if it is, you're not, he's leaving that ground in front of the back four. He's absolutely leaving his high out to dry here. When Daizen takes that touch, yes, it's a bad touch. He should do a bit better. He is under pressure. He is harassed he's got Brandt on one side, Kuto on the other. And when he takes that first touch inside, Adeyemi just smells the fear, smells the danger. He knows Bernardo's not marking him. He knows he's not going to be challenged. He just walks onto it. And Adeyemi does his thing again, bags his hat-trick. Fair play to him. He was brilliant. And again, I said it in the preview, I've been a big fan of Adeyemi for a number of years, and his career's not really hit those heights down to injury and stuff. He was playing on full revs in this game. We've seen him come off like injured or whatever, looking a bit disappointed at the end of the match. But we were the victim of his talent, really. But he got every chance to show it in this game. We did not make it hard at all. And in the sixth goal, we're trying to play it out from the back, and look at the position of Austin Trusty. He's in at the corner flag. McGregor is now in at centre back, and Alistair Johnson is trying to play a ball long, trying to get into midfield, trying to get it out of our defensive section. But the only thing I've got a problem with this is he does play it infield, and in this position here, playing infield, playing the ball across goal, as you would say, is fucking suicide. Again, we play that ball, Adam Ida doesn't get to it, Borussia Dortmund step onto it, McGregor is shoulder to shoulder with Girassi. Scales is in the middle of the picture, seeing everything that's going on. Hatate is in between, I think that's Bayer and Emre Can. And again, we've got Engels in a no man's land. Adam Ida maybe comes to try and press the pass here, but the pass doesn't come. The big man just keeps charging on, and McGregor again is fixated at looking at the ball, and Girassi just peels off of him and, runs into that space and ultimately finishes. But what I want to highlight here again is Austin Trusty. Austin Trusty is playing everyone on side for a start, right? So his concern cannot be the offside line. He, instead of running in this picture here, instead of running towards Girassi, he should just be running back into the middle ground and to cover that ball coming in for Girassi. Maybe it would be coming a bit longer for whoever's on the right-hand side at this point in the match for Borussia Dortmund, Durenville or whatever his name was. But he's just he's going into the motions. He's just like, oh, we're losing 5-1. It's the 65th minute. And honestly, like, you get what you pay for. I heard someone, I think it was on Axom, I heard someone saying that he's a Premier League level defender. Honestly, what a real stretch of the imagination that is. He played one season at the bottom of the table. He's a top-end championship guy at best, and he really did show, again, a £6 million defender coming into Celtic that is meant to be the insurance for Vickers, is meant to be a potential upgrade on Scales. He's been fine for the league in the little minutes he's had so far, but against top-end opposition, he's got a long, long way to go here. And you can see it even better on this side still here. He's playing, the offside trap goes out the book at this point. It's not about getting up and getting into line. He has to be seeing the danger. He has to see, at this point, from this side view, that Girassi is about to peel off of McGregor. And he has to make a beeline. He has to dart into the middle ground to stop that before he gets into the box. And sadly, it doesn't. And the last goal, honestly, I could have pulled my hair out for it. We are trying to play out from the back. 12 minutes to go, 6-1 down. Fair enough, there's not much else going on. Why kick it long and just forfeit possession? I get that. But McGregor's in the middle ground. Trusty is on the other side of the pitch. Valley, I thought Valley was actually pretty good. We'll talk about that in the player ratings in a second. But we tried to play it long. They win the header. It comes back to Valley. His first touch is terrible. It then comes to Nemeka. And Nemeka, Durenville and Bayer, I've got this little triangle on the go here with Scales, McGregor and Valle. McGregor again, watching the ball, no idea who's behind him. The ball from the Nemeka goes into the space and everyone is then going to retreat towards the box, and everything else that we've seen for the last 5 or 6 goals at least. Durenville gets into the box, cuts it back for Bayer, and fair play to Trusty, he's getting close to him, he's trying to shut him down. But again, McGregor is just staring at the ball, he's staring at the man, he's got no idea over his shoulder. The man he was tight to is now free at the edge of the box. This one, maybe I'm a little bit critical on McGregor for this one. But the whole point I am is because Trusty is the man that gets closest to fucking closing this one down. McGregor is looking over his shoulder at this point like, oh, there's a guy at the edge of the box. How did that happen? And then looking at the player ratings for this match, I think it tells you kind of everything you need to know. Daizen Maeda did get his goal, did do well, but he also had an error led to goal, which really does handicap his player score out of 100 here, only bringing in a 48.3. Alistair Johnson was like fine in this match. He completed the last man tackle as well. You might remember that in the first half. Might have been on Girassi. I forget who it was exactly, but he made a good tackle first half, which was a last man tackle, stopped him getting a shot away. Engels for his assist also gave away a penalty. really MIA for him. Bernardo, I think, showed exactly what I've been saying about Bernardo. He's fine. He's an okay player. But everyone going on like he is an O'Reilly replacement and Bernardo's better than Hatate and all this other stuff is just... And I said it before, I tweeted it. Anyone that thinks, Brendan Rodgers included, that Paulo Bernardo can start over Hatate in that exact same midfield dynamic like we've seen against Borussia Dortmund does not know ball. We've seen that in this game here. If you're going to play Bernardo, the midfield dynamic there has to change. You have to get his strengths to work for us, not his weaknesses. Kuhn was a bit of a non-entity. I thought Scales was fine. He was really hung out to dry in a lot of cases, but nobody really get by him. He never really put a foot wrong. Maybe a pass or two from the whole team. It kind of went wayward at some point. I thought Valle come on and looked... Valle... And again, the thing with Valle is he did the same role as Taylor. He was in that inverted fullback position. He gave away a pass. He wasn't fantastic. He looked way more comfortable at this level. You can see that kind of pedigree of coming from Barcelona's academy, La Masia, kind of showing that through. It's similar to what we've seen in the Scottish League. When you see Kuhn, when you see Engels against whoever we're playing against, that pedigree, that upbringing in football gives them a confidence, gives them a technical ability that in a lot, in these instances you should see it come out if they're a good player. And I think Valle's got a good shout for getting into the team now for me. Taylor in the last year of his contract, we do need to work out what we're doing for left back long term going forward. And yeah, Hatate, I think, came off the bench and kind of proved why he works in that midfield. He gives you something a bit more. And the thing about Hatate, right, that does everyone's nutting about him, because Hatate will go up and join the press, and he's a very press-happy midfielder. But what domestically, the thing that annoys a lot of people is he gets on the ball in these types of zones, and he loses it. He tries to play a pass that goes nowhere, or, he tries to do a wee trick, it doesn't come off and all the rest of it. And in Scotland, that stuff is not going to work as often because we're defending against 4,200 people. Everyone is in their own box, everyone is in their own defensive third. And if you're going to keep the same midfield dynamic, Hatate is the guy to play here, because if they are like going to bomb on and try and do the stuff that they were doing, Gross and Chan really were the defence alongside Anton and Schlotterbeck. If this is the way they're going to play, then Hatate has space for those passes to go into, where there's not 4,200 defenders that are going to just head tennis it up the pitch again. Hatate is very good at dropping the shoulder, at getting by somebody, and playing, and you've seen that in the second half when he came on, he had that. The things that frustrate you about him in Scotland are actually a bit more of a strength when it comes to actually playing against an elite team that will attack us. The shoe is on the other foot when we're playing in this situation in the Champions League. We are the team with less possession. We are the team that will have space to attack into on counter-attack, We are the team that needs a guy that can be a bit creative in the middle. It's not about just being tidy in possession and being strong like Bernardo is. It's somebody who can cut someone open, someone that's a maverick, someone that has, vision, attacking ability in their boots to pass and to run and to shoot. And I think Hatate was like a winner of this game, to be honest with you. I think his qualities, his credentials, again, at this level, showed, the value that they would bring to us against this level of opponent. I've already seen so many Celtic fans already writing off the game away to Atalanta. Atalanta are even more ferocious attacking-wise than Borussia Dortmund are. They really care nothing for defending. And if we come into that game with a midfield like this, we might as well write it off already. But I never write off Celtic in Europe. I will never go into a game thinking we are definitely going to lose. You do know the balance of probabilities that we probably will lose, but like every good Celtic fan out there, you get that false sense of hope and optimism before the game, and you think, no, we can do it. And I still have enough here to grab onto where I think we should be going to Bergamo, we should be going to Italy and trying to right the wrongs of this game. I did say after Bratislava that we would need that goal difference that we built up against them, because in the next two fixtures it might be eroded, and it's eroded in entirely one match here. So I really hope Brendan Rodgers' comments post-match is like, we don't need to adapt, there's nothing he would do if he could change, if he could go back and play the game again and all the rest of it. And I hope that's just, a hot air for the press, because really, like, that midfield was just amateur. It really, really was. And if we go into the Atalanta game like that, then we should write it off. But I believe that we're not going to let that happen. We've got one more game, then we've got an international break to come, and then it should be back to business, back to battle stations for Celtic. Hopefully, the likes of Bernardo, Engels, Schmeichel, maybe even as well, have grown, have got better for this experience as well. And we can really show that again this weekend. And then when we come back to business after the international break, we can try and pick up from that position of we're still hoping to qualify. We're still looking to get 9 to 12 points on the board and get into the playoff position. There wasn't really anything in this match to be overly optimistic about. I've tried my best in the video today to pull apart all the obvious negatives as well as a few of the positives that were maybe going around in this one. I hope you've enjoyed the video, guys. On screen and now some other stuff that we've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more content like this. Jump into the comments section and let me know what I've got right and wrong. Hail, hail, Moan the Hoops, and I'll catch you on the next one.